Hello everyone, and welcome to the latest Minty Minutes, the weekly, not weekly, whoa, not weekly at all, it is monthly, the monthly podcast of, that just sees me sitting down here and just chatting about some things that I have not made videos on yet, or will not make videos on because it's, too short of things, or basically just a monthly recap of stuff I've been up to and doing, just, kind of get my thoughts out there on some things. Mainly entertainment stuff. Mainly entertainment stuff. And as I say pretty much every week, this is probably going to be a shorter episode. And I don't mean that jokingly. I only technically have 3 things to talk about, 4 technically speaking. But I only want to really talk about like 3 things technically. Just because it's been, I'll be straight up honest with y'all, it's been a bit of a stressful couple of weeks. By a couple of weeks, I mean month. It's been a stressful month. Work has been work, and life has just been lifing, in the best way to put it. But so I didn't get to watch as many things as I necessarily wanted to, but I did get through some stuff that I had really been waiting to get through and really been enjoying, that I had started watching last month, that I am still watching now, ongoing stuff, like, ongoing series and such. So let's just get kind of into it, so we can just talk about some stuff. So this month on Minty Minutes, we'll be talking about the movie The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, the new movie from Guy Ritchie. Really enjoyed that one. Also, the Fallout TV series. Now, I don't want to talk too long about Fallout because I actually do kind of want to make a full video on the Fallout TV series. I just don't know what the video will pertain to, so I just want to at least talk about some of it here. And then I'll be straight up honest, I need to talk about X-Men 97 again, just because X-Men 97 has been absolutely hitting on a different level of certain things, and then just a nice little fun real life thing at the end there. But either way, so let's talk about Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare first. So the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare is a long title for this movie that I have to keep saying over and over again, but it is based on a graphic novel that is actually based on a true story and true stories of basically the first like MI6 team from World War II, first like Black Ops team, Secret Service team, basically from World War II, of a bunch of basically felons and a bunch of criminals for the most part, that were tasked by Winston Churchill to go out and basically disable the U-boats that had been going out, that taking over the Atlantic during World War II, that were preventing the U.S. forces from getting over to Europe to help out the Allies against, the Nazis. So it's an interesting movie and an interesting story that obviously is a little bit hyperbolized for, the action of it and such, but most of it's pretty on point, obviously. A little more action heavy than it probably was in real life, but it was fun. It was an incredibly fun movie, and I first heard about this movie and first heard about this whole story from the trailer. When the trailer came out, I remember my dad was just like going through trailers and like, what is this? And then we watched and we're like, oh, this looks amazing. This looks like a perfect like Friday night type of movie type of thing. So we were really excited when it came out, and we did go opening day of it, and we really enjoyed this movie. It has a stacked cast too, like pretty much like every Guy Ritchie film. Let's be honest here. It has a stacked cast, but it's not like a stacked cast of like, hey, these are all like the greatest actors of all time of like anything. But it's like hey, these are some great actors that are usually like secondary characters in other things, but then you open them together as main characters, like, man, these guys are good all together. So it's led by Henry Cavill. This is one of Henry Cavill's first like major roles post Superman, post DCEU, and also post Witcher. And he plays the main character of March Phillips, of Gus March Phillips, who is like the leader of this team. And then the co-leads are like Alan Ritchson, who has been getting a big resurgence in popularity lately because of the Jack Reacher show on Amazon. He was in Titans as Hawk, loved him in that. He also was Aquaman in the original Smallville series, just for all you old head nerds out there who watch Smallville. I did. I own the whole series on DVD. I have a box set of that. But yeah, he was also Aquaman in that as well, which is pretty cool. Just Alan Ritchson's been in a lot of stuff. Also, he's been rumored to maybe be the new Batman, which is really cool. And honestly, this movie kind of solidifies my want of him to be Batman now, because he just has it. He just has it, you know. Then we got Babs. I am terrible pronouncing his last name. If you have watched my Star Trek Strange New World reviews, you'll know that I had a terrible time trying to pronounce this man's name. But Babs Olusanmakun, Olusanmakun. I apologize profusely. I pronounced it right in like one episode of my reviews that I did for Star Trek. But Babs, he is great. He's great. He's one of my favorite parts of Strange New Worlds, and honestly, he is like he's a very like low-key type of character in this movie, but he is so great on screen. I love him so much. He is so good. Then we got Isa Gonzalez, basically as this like femme fatale of Marjorie Stewart, who also went on to be an actress after this. The actual person went on to be like actress after this, which is great. And then Carrie Eulis is in this, you know. That's just great. Like, Carrie Eulis is awesome. He just keeps popping up in random things like, hey, that's Carrie Eulis. And then also just Henry Golding. Like, Henry Golding. Like, what the hell? Henry Golding is actually a funny one, because, like, when we got out of the movie and we were, like, watching the credits or whatever, my dad was like, wait a minute, Henry Golding was in this movie? He's like, yeah, he was this guy. He's like, that was Henry Golding? It's like, yeah, that was Henry Golding, because he just kind of like blended into the role so well, and the dude just has so much range. It's amazing. This movie is just fun. This movie is just a lot of fun, a lot of big action fun. I mean, it's a Guy Ritchie film, so like you should kind of know what you're getting into when you get into a Guy Ritchie film. It's going to be a lot of firepower action, some nice on-point comedy, like situational comedy, some pretty stellar scripting for the most part, some great acting, some great visuals, some great lighting. The lighting was actually really good in this movie, I will say. Some pretty good music and stuff, pretty good score. The score was actually great. I love the score of this movie. It was pretty good. And just like a well put together film. And it's always funny when for me when it comes to Guy Ritchie films, because I don't believe I've watched that many Guy Ritchie films. But like anytime I watch one, I'm reminded, oh yeah, I do really like his style of filmmaking. It's really good. He's a really good filmmaker. And this is another one. This is just a really good film. One of the other really funny things about this movie, and also about the story of this basically Suicide Squad of U-boat destroyers and World War II fighters, is one of the main people that was helping this group, and that basically got this group together, was Ian Fleming, when he was still in the British military as an intelligence officer. Ian Fleming, if you all don't know, is the person who created James Bond. So yeah, Ian Fleming, before he went on to write after he retired from the intelligence agency, or the intelligence industry or whatever, and in the military, he wrote James Bond. And the thought is that he actually based James Bond off of Gus March Phillips, who Henry Cavill's playing in the movie. And like when you're watching the movie, you can kind of see where that came from. Now, yeah, again, it's a movie based on a historical event that is turned into a graphic novel, so there is some definite altering of history here a little bit, just a little bit. So like, yeah, they made Henry Cavill be a little more James Bondy than he probably was in real life, but the fact that Ian Fleming was actually, you know, a real guy and helped out with his team is so funny on various levels here. And the fact that this movie is basically, for all intents and purposes, an action spy film, like a James Bond movie would be, it's just kind of like a meta funny thing. But this movie's a good time. It's a real good time. If you just want a nice movie just to go and not necessarily turn your brain off to, but a good movie just to go and just have a fun time in the theater and just like enjoy like the theater popcorn, like some theater candy, pay way too much for it unless you have like coupons or whatever, and just have like a good afternoon at the movies, go see this movie. It's a fun time. The runtime for the movie is only like an hour 45, something like that. Sorry, 2 hours. It's a 2-hour movie. It's a 2-hour movie. You got about maybe a half hour preview beforehand, maybe 20 minutes if you get there a little later, or you're watching the movie later. It's a good time, and whenever this comes on TV or streaming or whatever, just check it out, man. Check it out. It's good. This definitely feels like one of those movies that, like, if you see it on like a Friday night on like TNT or TBS or whatever, mainly TNT, they have movies. If you see it on like Friday night on TNT, turn that shit on and watch it, because it's just gonna be a good time. It's just gonna be a good time to watch it. And I feel like I feel like that for a decent amount of Guy Ritchie films as well. Like they're just really good, like turn on the weekend type movies. And yeah, it's a good movie. I don't want to like repeat myself here when I keep saying like it's a good thing, but it just is. It's an enjoyable, fun movie, and I really loved everyone in it. It was just so fun. So I'm not really going to give like a rating here or anything. This isn't the type of video for that. But yeah, it's a good movie. I definitely highly recommend it for sure. And Henry Cavill is amazing, and I want to see that man in so many other things. I also need to watch Argyle still. I've heard bad things about Argyle, but he's in it, and he got me interested in watching that movie because he's in it, and the premise looks intriguing. Unfortunately, the whole thing was spoiled like 3 years ago, and no one realized it. Also, I've heard the movie's bad, but I still want to see Argyle. I like bad movies sometimes, and you know what? That movie seems like my type of fun. But either way, beyond that, let's shortly talk about Fallout. Okay, let's talk about Fallout in a very brief manner, because again, I want to make a video on this, given how much of a fan of the Fallout series I am, a series of games that I am, and how much I thoroughly loved this show, and how much I thought the show was such a love letter to the games and a worthy addition to the canon of the games, because this show is canon to the games. It is canon to the world of the games. It has been confirmed by Todd Howard, by Bethesda. It is canon to the games. It is basically, for all intents and purposes, Fallout 5, because it takes place first in the timeline. So my history with Fallout is a bit of a weird one. Maybe not necessarily. I feel like my history of Fallout is kind of the same history that most people have with this series at this point. I didn't play the the top-down isometric RPGs on PC. I didn't play those when I was growing up. My first Fallout game was Fallout 3. And it was kind of a funny situation with that. My first situation was Fallout 3, and what had happened was I let my friend during like high school, middle school, something like that, borrow my copy of Batman Arkham Asylum, if I remember correctly. And I borrowed their copy of Fallout 3, so I could play it. And I played through like the opening section of the game. I had just gotten out to the wasteland. I had done the whole like tutorial part in the vault, where you get to meet Liam Neeson, who voices your dad in the game, which is just wild thing to think about. But I did the whole opening section, tunnel snakes rule and all that. Got out to the wasteland. I think I broke into a school or something. Ruined school. Let's be honest. Here's a ruined school. It's the apocalypse. And I killed some ants. I remember I killed some ants. Found super duper mark, whatever. And that's about all I played of Fallout 3. That was my first Fallout game. It was Fallout 3. Played through the game. I was like, this is good. I like this a lot. Thanks a lot. There's something about it like didn't necessarily click for me at that point, at that time when I played it, but I knew there was something there, and I'm like, I like this. I like the idea of this game and this world. And then we traded back the games after a while, so I could get back my copy of Arkham Asylum, and they could get back Fallout 3. Then later on, I went to like GameStop or whatever, and they had Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, I believe, with the DLCs. Maybe they might have just been the regular version of the game. I cannot remember correctly, but I think they had all the DLCs. I think they were like the Game of the Year complete editions with all the DLCs. And it was 3 New Vegas, and I played New Vegas. So I'm like, you know what? Let me play New Vegas. This was neat and cool. And I was blown away. Absolutely blown away by New Vegas. And I know that's not really that big of a surprise, because like New Vegas is New Vegas. It's arguably the best one of the games, but that's up for debate. And whatever game you want is the best one is great. But I played New Vegas and absolutely loved it. I never technically beat the game. I got to the end, but I never actually beat the game because I never made the final choice yet to beat the game. But I loved playing through that game so much. like Boone as your companion, loved him. Loved meeting Veronica, loved meeting Arcade, loved having Rex. Like all the stuff in the game is great. Love fighting Caesar's Legion, because I'm like, man, these guys are just evil. These guys are just bad. Meeting the NCR and thinking like, damn, they look cool. Love the NCR. And then realizing, okay, they're also bad too. Seeing the Brotherhood of Steel and being like, damn, they're cool. Oh, they're also bad. Okay, cool. Everyone's a bad. Everyone's bad in this game. That makes sense. It's just like, who's less bad? And just kind of just like getting roped up in this world and just like walking around this like in the Mojave wasteland, just like having my classic 40s music playing and then getting attacked by like a gecko. And I was like, what's that? What the hell's going on here? Or like a Cazador coming out of nowhere attacking, like, what's going on? So I love Fallout. I love Fallout. And I played Fallout 4. Again, haven't beaten it. I started using a lot of mods on Fallout 4 when they included mods on console version of the game, and then hadn't played it in a while. And I started back up like, oh shit, I have no idea where I'm at in this game anymore, which happens. I might just restart Fallout 4 to start that completely over again. I enjoy Fallout 4. I like the graphics of it. The graphics of it look really, really good. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea before what they did in the game, but I really like it still because it's Fallout. I like Fallout. And then 76. 76 was a weird mixed bag. But I started playing it again recently, and I'm really enjoying it just because it's Fallout. It's the most recent one. And now, after all the updates and all the fixes they did to the game, I think Fallout 76 is a really good game. But beyond that, back to this TV series. So that's my history of Fallout. I have a long history of Fallout. I've played it for years at this point. Never actually beaten any of the games, but I've played enough of the games to be like, yeah, I love this whole franchise. I'm a Bethesda fan anyway. Like, I love Bethesda games in general. I think they're all really quote unquote well-made games that are really engaging and engrossing. I really love them. So the TV series, when it was announced and they showed up the first trailer, I was like, okay, Fallout, okay. There's a whole new like crop of video game adaptation shows coming out and movies coming out. Like, okay, understandable. Then they announced the cast. Have been like, okay, this cast is pretty good. This is a pretty good cast. Like Ella Purnell, she hadn't necessarily gotten to like prominence like she has now, where she's been in like 4 or 5 different things, like right at the same time, that everyone loves. So like Ella Purnell was pretty cool. Liked her. Hadn't heard of Aaron Martin yet. I think he was in something else recently. But then like Walton Goggins he's Walton Goggins. He's amazing. I love Walton Goggins. He's great. But it was also coming off the heels of coming off the heels of Last of Us doing its series, which I did a whole reaction series to. I'll link it here somewhere. That I did when it was coming out. And Last of Us, I actually didn't have familiarity with because I didn't play the games. I knew of Last of Us. I knew of like the whole world of Last of Us, what it was like pertaining to, the whole idea of it, and like the big twist or everything. Because I was around during the pandemic when Last of Us 2 came out. I heard the controversies, but I really like Last of Us series. I'm like, okay, Last of Us was like arguably the best adaptation of a video game we've gotten so far in terms of like adapting the story. So it's like, how is Fallout going to do? And Fallout, I think, had the great idea of not adapting the game, but adapting the world and telling a new story in that world, telling a continued story in that world. So it's not trying to adapt, say, the story of Fallout 3 or the story of Fallout 2, or trying to like retell the story of like Fallout Tactics, which isn't canon. It's telling its own thing, and I think that's its greatest benefit, because my god, did it get the world correct. Like every little minute possible detail of the wasteland feels accurate. It feels correct, and granted, that is because the production designers on the show did their job and they actually like did the research. And also Bethesda and Todd Howard and all the Fallout team had input on it. And I'm not going to get into spoilers or anything for the actual show itself, but having the actual video game creators and the video game writers and the programmers and the people behind the game on set helping out with the show and in the writer's room and in the production meetings, having them involved with the production of the show really shows, because you can tell that they had a hand in it. You can tell that things are accurate, and it works. And the show delivers some stuff that is like new to the canon, that hadn't been explained in the games before, and it was like, okay, this is some cool stuff. And like, it doesn't break canon at all. It in fact like reinforces it in a way. So like, it isn't contradicting things. It isn't retconning things, which is also an interesting thing as well, given the games themselves being RPGs and having multiple endings and like factions and everything. So like, that all makes sense. So the fact they were able to adapt this video game that has all these disparate choices that any player could make, and have it still be coherent and not discount anything the player does in the game, unless you go like a full genocide route and just kill everyone in the game, which, okay, those ones aren't canon, clearly, those ones don't count. But like, you know, go like a pretty set kind of neutral-ish canon timeline or canon story with the world. I think it works well. I think it works extremely well, and having it be the furthest in the timeline also works really well, because whenever they actually do make Fallout 5, whenever that happens, which I feel like might be soon. I don't know. I literally don't know anything. But I just have that feeling that Fallout 5 might be announced at some point soon to tie in with the show, especially since they're now going to be filming season 2 as well. And given how the show ends and what they're setting up, like, I could see them doing something with Fallout 5 in the future and having it tie into the show as well, since all these characters now exist in the world, and it's really cool to see them. So I find it really interesting, and I think as an adaptation it works extremely well. And again, like I mentioned before, it works extremely well because it's not adapting a singular story, it's adapting the world. I think in a way that's also kind of why Sonic has worked so well, and it's a weird connection here, because Sonic is like a kids movie, but Sonic adapts the feel of the Sonic games. It adapts like that rebellious nature, that like kind of childlike innocence, but yet still the serious tone at times, but mixed with like the goofy circumstances. Like, that's what makes Sonic fun and cool, which is a weird thing to say, but you know, that's what makes Sonic Sonic. And I think that's why those movies work so well, and I absolutely loved Sonic 2. I really did, and I'm very excited for Sonic 3. I'll be honest, weirdly not as excited for Keanu Reeves being Shadow. I was really hoping for Hayden Christensen to be Shadow, because I thought it would have been really hilarious to do that. Keanu's great. I love Keanu. He's awesome. He's been in a lot of stuff recently, and he's getting that point where like Hollywood just casting him in everything because they can. But Keanu's also a nice guy. Like, I love Keanu anyway, so he's going to be fine as Shadow. I know he is, but whatever. That's a whole side topic of Sonic. But yeah, so like the Sonic world like feels like Sonic. Mario, same thing. The Mario Brothers movie I thought was it was good. It was good enough. It definitely had those Illumination feels to it, which I'm like, okay, it's Illumination. And the voice acting was okay. Chris Pratt's terrible as Mario, but everyone else felt like they were fine for the most part. Jack Black killed as Bowser, but like, again, it felt like the world was there. The world felt like it was adapted correctly. Like the Mushroom Kingdom, Bowser's Castle, all the other worlds felt accurate to what they were trying to do. So I think that's the good thing about like video game movies lately, is that the worlds are being adapted properly, and the people behind the original source material of the games are having input into the shows or the movies that are being made. So therefore, there's a deeper connection to the source material. So then fans, when they're watching it, they can feel like they're actually watching the thing they know. So it's not like in the early 2000s we had like the Tomb Raider movies, and it's like the only thing that is connecting to that, connecting to the original games, is the fact that the main character is named Lara Croft. Also, I was like 5 when those things came out, so I haven't watched those in forever. If honestly at all, to be completely honest with y'all. Or like the original Mortal Kombat movies, where the original Mortal Kombat movies kind of felt like the games, but also they were based on an arcade game that had like no story. So it's like, okay, we're going to add some story in here the best we can, and then adapt that story later on into the games. Which I think is also why the most recent Mortal Kombat movie was so weird, because like the first 15-20 minutes of it, where it was just Sub-Zero and Scorpion, was like the absolute best thing ever, because everyone had just wanted to see like classic ninja Sub-Zero and Scorpion fighting. And then it got into the actual Mortal Kombat stuff, and it's like, this is all strange, and I don't understand what they're doing here with this. And then it ends with them actually starting the Mortal Kombat tournament, which I know the tournament itself isn't necessarily that important to the actual story of Mortal Kombat, which is hilarious to say. but it felt like they did so much setup for it to not do anything. But they're filming the second one now. Hopefully the second one's better. But that's just my spiel on video game adaptation movies. But yeah, back to Fallout. I keep getting off topic here with Fallout. The Fallout series is great. I love it so much. The fact there's only 8 episodes is cool. I do like the fact there's only 8 episodes, which is something funny to say as well about that, with the shortened nature of modern TV series. But it's like a prestige TV series. That's the whole thing about it. So I think 8 episodes worked for it for sure, because it didn't like overstay its welcome. It gave us just enough nice tidbits to keep like nibbling on the whole time. Kept me interested the whole time, more than just being a Fallout fan, obviously. The mystery of it kept being awesome. I loved the mystery and it being like, okay, what's going on now? What's going on next? Loved all that. That was all great. And then the cast, like I said, the cast was phenomenal. I love them interacting with each other, love them interacting with the world, and they all had some great moments together, and great moments like interacting off of each other. I thought that was really great, and it felt like an actual, like, you know, main player character and the companion to go along with them, or character like talking to an NPC or something like that. Character, you know, fighting some bad guys. It all felt like the game. It all felt very much like the game, which is great. So I highly recommend watching Fallout for sure. There's also the whole debate that went on as well when the show came out, which I am glad that people are still talking about the show now that it's been out for a couple of weeks now. I am very glad people are still talking about the show in general. People are actually like discovering the show now again, or discovering the show a little bit later, and are actually going back and playing Fallout because of the show. Really like that out of it as well. But the debate when the show came out and the weeks following it is the whole debate about streaming shows in general. And should streaming services drop like every episode of a show at once, or should they do it weekly, or should they do like the serialized weekly releases? And for me, it really depends on the type of show. And I personally feel like Fallout would have benefited if it did release weekly, so we could have the water cooler moments for the show. And after each episode, we could have, like, you know, as a community, talk about the show and theorize and like try to figure out what's going on, and try to figure out what's going to happen next. Like what happened in the height of Game of Thrones and why Game of Thrones became so popular. And I haven't really watched Game of Thrones at all, and I really don't want to at this point because of how the series ended. But Game of Thrones was like that, where like it released weekly and then had like months to years in between, so people talked about it. It kept in the cultural zeitgeist. So like I kind of wish Fallout did that, so we wouldn't have this like massive like hype bomb of the show where everyone's like, oh my god, Fallout's amazing, it's great, but then you gotta like be really wary to avoid spoilers online, because people are going to spoil everything immediately online, as opposed to watching it weekly and then like catching up when you could or whatever, but then like being able to talk with people, being able to have those community moments to theorize and talk about a show every week to keep the hype going for like a month or two, which I think is better for some shows. And then there are other shows that I think it is a good idea to drop them all at one time. Just so people can like experience the whole story at once, if it's like a continuing narrative thing. But I did see this one comment online on Threads as well, which I'm hardly on at this point. I just go on there to like look at memes and stuff and watch people talk about X-Men 97 and wrestling at this point. But I did see somebody mention something as well. Like if a show has to be dropped all at once to understand it, then why aren't they just making a movie? And I understand why. It's because they want to make an 8-hour-long movie and they can't do that. So they make an 8-hour-long series instead. Understandable. But whatever, that's a whole side topic. So personally, I think Fallout should have been weekly, should have been released weekly, but I didn't mind it being released all at once. I did take my time watching it though, and I didn't watch it like all at once because I just don't do that. I'm also very busy as well, sadly, so I didn't get a chance to. But over the course of like a week, my dad and I watched it together because we had been wanting to watch it together. So and we both really enjoyed it. Now, however, back on the spoiler thing, real quick, I was also spoiled to the big twist in the show as well. Before finishing the show because of a random YouTube thumbnail and title. I'm like, well, shit. So I had to be wary of that, but experiencing it was still better, even if knowing what had happened there, actually seeing it happen on screen and experiencing it was still really good. But yeah, before I actually get into spoilers or anything with Fallout, because I don't want to, before I keep talking about it for too long as well, before I talk about it for 20 minutes at this point, Fallout TV series, I highly recommend it. Watch it for sure. If you're a Fallout fan, you will enjoy it. If you have never seen Fallout or never played Fallout, I think you'll enjoy it because it's just a well-made show. And then also go play Fallout. Fallout's really good. I think they're still having a massive sale on like all the games right now as well, to tie in with the show. So if you haven't experienced the games, go play the Fallout games. Also, if you have Game Pass and Xbox, all the games are on there because Microsoft owns Bethesda. So all the games are just on there on Game Pass. So like highly, highly, highly recommend going and playing them. The older ones like 3 in New Vegas are a little, just a tiny bit dated, especially graphically. They're just a tiny bit dated because it did come out like in the mid 2000s and early 2010s. But even with that, they're still very, very great games, like amazing games. And I think they're getting like remasters here soon at some point. I think I heard something about like remasters or next gen upgrades or something like that. But either way, Fallout, highly recommend it. Go watch it, go enjoy it, go love it, and go have fun in the wasteland. Go become wastelanders, everyone. Go become vault dwellers because Fallout is great. Love it. And that's like I said at some point, I will make a video on Fallout. I have no idea when. I'm not sticking myself to a timeline for that at all because, again, I'm busy with a lot of things in life. So I will try to make a long form video at some point. More than likely, knowing me, like 5 months down the line once the hype is all died down for the show. But either way, on to something else that's really hype right now and really fun. X-Men 97. My god, this show just keeps hitting. This show just keeps hitting with banger after banger after banger. My god. Last month, Minty Minutes, I only talked about the first 3 episodes because all I had dropped at that point. Well, we're up to episode like 8 now. And my god. Just my god. Sorry, we're up to episode 7 now. We're up to episode 7. My bad. But, whew, man, this series is just something else, dude. Like, it is something else. I don't want to go into full spoilers about this either, just because it's so good. I want people to actually like watch and experience it themselves. But like, episode 4 was actually a weird split episode, but it was still great. Where like it was a big nostalgia fest for the arcade game, which I played a little bit of on the Xbox Live Arcade, and I wish I still had a copy of it, but I don't. It is not available anywhere because of licensing and unfortunate bullshit with that. But such a great leveler to the arcade game as well, and then a really awesome story with Storm and Forge as well with that. And then episode 5, like, I don't even know how to talk about episode 5. Episode 5, remember it, is one of those episodes that just arguably is kind of in the running for possibly one of the greatest scripted episodes of all time of any series at all. And the fact it's coming from the X-Men animated series is something impressive just in general. And like, I'm an animation fan. I love animation, and I don't think animation is like for kids. Animation is just a different medium of storytelling, just like live action is. I don't think everything animated has to become live action. Looking at you, Disney. But for the fact that this is an animated series, they could go to some levels with that episode that like you couldn't do in live action. There's just certain things that just can't be done that they did in live action and have it be as emotional, as impactful, and it was heartbreaking. Like, that episode was just heartbreaking. It was just impressive, just so impressive what they did with episode 5. I mean, right now looking at IMDb, because I have IMDb up on my other screen here just to look at like casting and stuff, it has a 9.8 out of 10. If that doesn't tell you what you need to know about episode 5 and about this whole series in general, I don't know what it is going to, because like 9.8 out of 10, like pretty much unanimously everyone loved that episode. And then the funniest thing is, like, the episode happens, it's like heartbreaking, it's tragic, it's like, what the hell's happening now? And then the next episode just doesn't acknowledge it at all. The next episode just goes and does a completely different story, which honestly, such a good idea. Such a good idea, because you have a whole week of people being like, oh my god, how are they gonna like resolve this thing? And episode 6 like, we're not. And it's like, you know what? Fair. Fair. Let's give us another week to like process all that before we get into what's happening now. And then this past week's episode 7. Whoo, boo. Whoo, baby. I'm a Rogue fan. I'm a fan of Rogue. I have been pretty much my whole life. I've loved the Cajun badass, or the Louisiana badass right there. I have loved Rogue so much. I still really want to at some point be able to see, and I know I just said about the whole live action animation thing, but I really do want to see in live action at some point the actual fight between Rogue and Captain Marvel. Or Miss Marvel at that point in the comics when she was, but the fight between Carol and Rogue. I forgot Rogue's actual name. I think it's Anna. I'm not sure. Which sucks to say. I'm a Rogue fan. I forgot Rogue's actual name. But either way, but the fight between Rogue and Captain Marvel, where Rogue absorbs some of her Kree powers and gets the flight and gets like the super strength and everything. Which is one of the most badass things, which is why, again, I like Rogue. Because I didn't know that as a kid growing up. I didn't know Rogue took her powers and they fought. I just thought Rogue could just fly normally. Because, you know, X-Men are funny and weird. But yeah, it's pretty much a big Rogue episode and a nice, like, other than her X-Men team episode of like, yeah, let's go be the X-Men for a little bit. Let's go show the world the X-Men. There's some great cameos in the episode from other Marvel characters. There's some great cameos, but it's a heavy Rogue episode, and I really loved everything they did with it. It was good, and where they ended off, starting into a two-parter this coming week. Episode 8 and 9 are going to be a two-parter, maybe a three-parter. It might be the end of the series, not the series, end of the season, so it might be a three-parter. Where they ended off is pretty damn great, and I'm very excited to see what they're doing. Again, following episode 5 and following what they're doing. But yeah, man, X-Men 97. If you're not watching X-Men 97, please, if there's anything to watch right now, it's Fallout and X-Men 97. Just go watch those two things and just have your mind blown and just start loving TV. That's basically all I can say. And also, there's been a big debate online as well that I've seen about X-Men 97 and about the X-Men in general at this point, and the fact that X-Men 97 is doing too good of a job to portraying the X-Men, that it's going to make it hard for the MCU to adapt to the X-Men and make us like feel as we did for the TV series. And I think that's an absolutely stupid argument. And also one that shouldn't exist. It's like, if you want to make a live action X-Men, you can make live action X-Men. And if you want to have animated X-Men, you can have animated X-Men. I mean, early 2000s we saw that. We had like 3 different X-Men animated series almost all going at the same time while still having the Fox movies. And yeah, for the most part, the Fox movies weren't the best things out there. And the animated shows were pretty good. They were all pretty good. It's one of those things where it's like, you can have them both and it's fine. And it's like, just because X-Men 97 is pretty much doing an absolutely perfect job of telling the X-Men stories doesn't mean that the MCU is going to have a bad time trying to tell the same stories. There's plenty of X-Men stories out there they can tell. There's plenty of X-Men characters out there they can use. And it's one of those things where it's like, you don't have to have these two things be separate. Like, you really don't have to have these two things be like completely different ideals and different ideas, or like different like anything. They're just different mediums. Like, it's like you can adapt them and be fine. Like, they can exist at the same time and it be okay. Like, people will understand. It's the issue that I had with DC for the longest time, that DC still has an issue with for some reason. It's Warner Bros. Fault. It's all Warner Bros. Fault all the time. About the fact that like we couldn't have Batman in 2 different animated series at the same time, which is why we never got Batman in Teen Titans, because there was a different Batman animated series going on, and it was like, why? Like, no one's going to get confused about those being different Batmen. They're completely different series. Like, you can tell they are. Or why, I believe it was Justice League Unlimited, why we hardly got any Batman centric episodes in Justice League Unlimited, and it's because there's another Batman series on, and Warner Bros. Like, we can't have Batman in 2 different series at the same time. It's like, why? Why not? And why we have yet to see like Superman or Batman, mainly Batman, on like the small screen, on like the CW shows when they were. We saw Superman a little bit. That was a whole different story. But why we never saw Batman in any of those shows, which is why Green Arrow had to become Batman basically. And it's because Warner Bros. Like, you can't have Batman in there. We got the Nolan movies going on right now. People get confused. It's like, no, they won't. No, they won't. People will not get confused. Maybe like a few people will, but like not that many. Like, most people are smart enough to realize, like, hey, maybe the movie actor isn't the same as the TV actor, or maybe this cartoon is not the same as the live action thing. Possibly. Now, people are weird sometimes, I understand. But that's just a whole little rant. You can have an animated show and a live-action show at the same time. You can have an animated movie and a live-action movie at the same time. It's fine. You can do them both. It's okay. They don't have to connect either. It's okay. But, yeah, X-Men 97 is great. Go watch X-Men 97. Basically, that's what my whole rant was about. Just go watch X-Men 97. It's so good. It's so good. And it's nearing the end of the season, I think. So, you know, if you want to catch up now, each episode's like a half hour long. So, it's not even that much to catch up on. Also, I am also wondering as well if the show is better if you do watch the original series before it, because I didn't. I watched a couple episodes of the original series in total. Not even, I mean, technically before the series, but like not right directly before I watched the series. And I'm going into it basically fresh, and everything's still clicking with me. Everything's still making sense. Maybe it's just because I know the X-Men and I understand what they're talking about and what they're doing. But I don't know. Either way, X-Men 97 is great. Fallout's great. Go watch those 2 series. So then the last thing I just want to talk about is just something really not movie, TV series related, and it's just something kind of personal, kind of fun. Just a little fun thing. Is at the time of this recording, I'm recording this on Friday. Tomorrow, so Saturday, at the time of this recording, I will be doing my first ever Lorcana Store Championship tournament. I've been playing Lorcana since the card game came out, and also Lorcana, if you don't know, is a Disney-based card game, kind of like Magic the Gathering, with a color system, but with a different resource system. In a way, it's really fun. It's a really easy to explain card game if you're like in person trying to explain it. Really fun card game as well. And it has a couple issues with some secondary market stuff and certain like meta stuff in the game, but that's just how every card game is. But it's a really fun card game. It takes the ideas of like Disney characters, puts them onto trading cards, and like has you build decks with them. It has like it's kind of slightly multiversy, but like a shade of multiversy that's okay, but whatever. But it's a really fun, really in-depth, unique card game. I feel, well, I say unique, then Star Wars came up with a card game that has a really similar system to it too. But either way, it doesn't matter. But I've been playing Lorcana since the game came out, and I'm basically like the de facto head of my local community at my local game store. Because again, I've been playing it since the beginning, and I've been there since the beginning, and I'm really excited for this store championship to try and win a promo Stitch card, because I have like different versions of the character or whatever, and the prize is a special full art Stitch, which is really cool, and playmats and stuff too. But I'm just looking forward to it. It's my first like big tournament I've ever done, and it's still a local one, but it's like 16 people. You had to like buy into it, and you have like a deck, and have like a deck list and everything. It's gonna be like all day, so it's a busy weekend. It's a busy weekend for sure. So I'm trying to get all my recordings and stuff done ahead of time, because I'm gonna be basically out all day Saturday. But that's just something fun I just want to talk about, because I just love the game and I love Lorcana, and I know this channel is mainly just like, you know, TV reactions and reviews and such. But I do have other interests, clearly, as you saw with me talking about Fallout for 20 minutes. But I play a lot of card games. I play Pokemon, play Lorcana. I play a little bit of Magic here and there, but not too much. Just started playing the Star Wars card game as well, I just mentioned. It's really fun. It's really good. I just don't have time to go play it regularly. Then I play a lot of board games too. But beyond all that, like, Lorcana is just fun. And I know Disney is Disney, so like I know people have their issues with it, but again, we just talked about X-Men, which is on Disney Plus, and I talk about Disney a bunch. I'm not a Disney shill by any means. The company is very bad, but man, they have some properties that just are near and dear to my heart, and this game just kind of hits at that, because it's just a lot of the properties I really love, and how the cards interact with each other, and just having this story in my head of like, oh man, I've got like, I don't know, Elsa teaming up with Stitch or whatever. Like, that's kind of cool as well. It's kind of cool. And just like thinking about cards in the future and like how they'll be, and like what stuff they're going to introduce. Like, if they introduce Muppets into the game, it's going to be great. I'm gonna love that. If they introduce Muppets, that'd be phenomenal. I want them to introduce Nightmare Before Christmas for sure, and Gargoyles, which would be great. I think they will at some point. But beyond all that, I love the game. I love the card game. I think a lot more people should be playing it as well. I know Lorcana has a pretty substantial community already, just because of the fact that it's a Disney card game. But it's a good card game. It's a very good card game, and like I love teaching people how to play the game, teaching people like to get into the game, giving them cards. I have enough cards at this point. I like giving them cards so they can build decks with. And they can play the game, and it's really fun. So I'm looking forward to this store championship. So wish me luck. I say wish me luck as time of recording, so I'm going to be going to it, and by the time this video uploads, I will already have been at it and done it. So I might, depending on the timing, I might put in a little addendum here to say how I did at the tournament. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I might put in an actual little bit of audio here, and be like, hey guys, here's what happened. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Hey everyone, this is me coming in here post the Lorcana tournament that I talked about before, and yeah, this is the results for it. So I did not win the Stitch promo. It's very sad. However, I did go 2-2. I won 2 games, lost 2 games. First 2 games were pretty difficult, got pretty bad matchups, but whatever. The last 2 games really fun, love those. And also I decided to buy 2 packs of the first set of the game. I haven't bought packs of the first set since the first set came out, and I got a enchanted rare giant Tinkerbell, which is a really expensive card, really rare card, as all the enchantments are. So I think ultimately I won the night overall, just because I got that and had fun. But it was a good time, fun time, very long day. I will say, very long day. I was burnt out all day past that. So yeah, that's basically the results here. And like I said, I was gonna come in here just to tell you guys results, and that was it. But either way, beyond all that, that's gonna be this episode of Minty Minutes. My nose is stuffy because it's pollen season, and also it's cold. It's weird. It's spring, but it's cold, but there's pollen everywhere, and I don't like it. And my nose doesn't like it. My sinuses don't like it. Nothing about my body likes this right now. But but I'm getting all stuffy, so I need to stop talking here shortly. So that's this episode of Minty Minutes. Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, go see it. It's cool. Fallout, go watch it. It's awesome. X-Men 97, please watch that. It's so good. And that's basically everything. So let me know down in the comments below if you've seen any of the stuff we talked about today, or if you also play Lorcana, or if you do play any card games at all. Let me know down in the comments below what card games you play. Little fun fact, this channel originally started out as a Pokemon card game channel. I'd uploaded 2 whole videos about Pokemon card game, and they weren't that good. And one of them was just a live stream that I cut down of me opening a booster box of Brilliant Stars, which is my first ever Pokemon set I got into. And the second video was a weird interaction video that wasn't good. But then I took a break off, and I came back with trailer reactions. With reaction stuff. That's a little minty fun fact there about the YouTube channel here. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if you've seen any of the stuff we talked about today, what your thoughts were. No spoilers, please, for Fallout or X-Men for those who have not seen it yet, given that they might watch this video at any time before seeing the shows. So no spoilers, please, for those ones as well. But just let me know your thoughts, your general thoughts about the things as well. And again, if you play any card games or any games at your local game stores or anything, go to your local game stores. Go support your local game stores. They're good places. That most of them are good places. Like, go support your local game stores. Yeah, let me know down in the comments below. And if you like the Minty Minutes as well, and want to see more of them, go ahead and leave a like. It helps out and boosts everything up in the algorithm, gets more people to watch / hear these Minty Minutes, which, it's one of those like small things that I'm trying to do. I've been enjoying doing this whole podcast thing. I've been wanting to do a podcast for a while. Anyway, and I might have guests on at some point. We never know. We never know. Might have some guests on at some point. I do got some friends that are also in the entertainment on internet spaces, so we might do a guest at some point. Have a nice hour-long conversation about Star Wars or something. Who knows? Who knows? That's just how this world works, But either way, leave a like if you like the video as well. It helps out, and also subscribe down below as well if you have not subscribed yet. We are on the pathway to 750 subscribers. At the time of this recording, we're like 4 away, and of course on the pathway to 1,000 subscribers, which is the big next milestone, which I will be pushing a bunch after we get to 750, which again, we are very close. So if you're listening to this and you have not subscribed but you like what you hear, I do have a whole playlist of Minty Minutes, and this is basically how all my videos are as well. So go ahead and subscribe down below as well to help out. And until next time, on the screen coming up there is going to be a video, a series of videos, a playlist of videos you can watch involving something that I have been watching on the show, a reaction video of some sort. And next to it is going to be a video that YouTube recommends for you as well. And until next time, just stay awesome, everyone. Stay loving everything that you're doing. Keep your hobbies alive, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, peace, everyone. Peace.